Welcome into Rover Sports, guys, and we are here. It is Wednesday. Today's date is the 13th of January of 2021. So we're still out here, and man, what a day in the world of sports, specifically the National Football League. Robert Saleh was going to be headed to the New York Jets. And the Jets mess it up again. Robert Saleh is a guy that can build a team, that can build an overall team. And we're going to talk Jets. We can also talk. You know what else we could talk is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving headed to the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets are going to have a really good chance at winning the Eastern Conference. The Sixers didn't pull the trigger. The Sixers are 8-4, so they're the best team in the East right now. And we'll see, if Kyrie Irving's going to keep playing the game or not. And so much to be seen there. So we could talk about a whole variety of different things. The Broncos today hire their GM, George Paton. And George Paton is a guy that is from the Minnesota Vikings. And he was there for about 15 years. I think he's a rock solid GM. I'm excited to listen to him speak, certainly. And really excited to hear George Paton and his press conference. The Los Angeles Raiders have hired Gus Bradley. The Dallas Cowboys did a nice job getting Dan Quinn. So I'm really excited for those two teams. The Raiders with Gus Bradley, and everybody is out here. I think that the Brooklyn Nets. I think that Spencer Dinwiddie is really good. I look at like Joe Harris and Landry Shamet, and I'm not sure that the Sixers can beat the. I'm not sure the Sixers can beat the Nets at all. I'm not really sure that the Sixers can beat the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, the Celtics are really struggling. You have the Hornets, so. I think, Brandon, you're looking at maybe Tony Elliott is being rumored, Pep Hamilton. I don't know if Tony Elliott will leave Clemson. That would be unbelievable to see Tony Elliott leave Clemson to go to the National Football League. So I think that Patton is a really good hire for Denver. I think Brad Holmes to Detroit will be really nice. I got to hear more of Patton. I mean, Patton drafted Stephon Diggs, drafted Adam Thielen. The Vikings had a lot of really, really good players. So I think that basically, I think that the NBA is just kind of ridiculous. I mean, because James Harden completely took advantage of the situation. He just said, I want to get out of Houston. I don't really want to play basketball there. And all he did was just like gain a bunch of weight, not really practice. And he wanted to go to Brooklyn all along, and he gets his wish. He goes to Brooklyn. He has Kevin Durant there. You look at all the talent on this team, and even the Lakers last year, they didn't have like a great bench. They have Alex Caruso coming off the bench, Morris, Rondo. Like, you're not going to be able to guard Kevin Durant and James Harden. You're just not. James Harden could get anywhere on the floor. And this trade for the Nets just makes so much sense because the Nets can maybe win a championship, and that's what you're in it to do. You're in it to win a championship. And I know that you're going to suck for the next like 10, 15 years, but you might possibly win a championship with James Harden and Kevin Durant. Two of the top 5 players in the NBA right now is James Harden and it's Kevin Durant. And Kyrie Irving could be a top 12 player, and I think that you're still going to have Kyrie Irving in the mix. You're still going to have Irving because you're not going to trade Kyrie. So listen, even if Kyrie Kyrie can miss the rest of the regular season. It doesn't matter. He just needs to get his mind right for the postseason because, I mean, there's no home court advantage in the NBA. The crowds aren't even that good. And by the way, they're not even going to let any fans in there. Adam Silver is the strictest in terms of this thing. So who gives a crap if the Nets are the 5th or the 6th seed? Let Kyrie Irving go out there and let him get his mind right and get ready to make a run in these playoffs. That's what you have to do. So the Brooklyn Nets, they went from a team with Kyrie and with Durant that were not going anywhere, and now they add James Harden, a superstar. It's a no-brainer for the Brooklyn Nets. It's a no-brainer because with Kyrie Irving, you weren't sure if he was going to play in this regular season or not. James Harden's a top 5 player, one of the great scorers of all time. And James Harden, by the way, in Houston, he didn't care. He wanted to get out. He was like Jimmy Butler in Minnesota. You look at these situations. Jimmy Butler goes from Minnesota to Miami, and he's great. Anthony Davis is like, I hate playing in New Orleans. These players just have all the power in the NBA. That's what they're going to do. And that's the National Basketball Association for you. And all you're going to need to do is get these players. Kyle Pitts going to the New York Giants at number 10. I don't know if I'd like it that much. I mean, Kyle Pitts is a tight end. That's a good route runner. He's fine, but I don't think he's a Travis Kelce type of player. I really don't. So I don't even think he's as good as Thomas Fidone. But you look at Kyle Pitts and he's just like another Evan Ingram. Like, I don't get the fascination with the guy. Like, he's going to put up some statistics, but he's not a Darren Waller or anything. Terry who? Terry Bowden? Yeah, I mean, James Harden is smart. James Harden is going to do what he needs to do. Nah, not really. I kind of like the Sixers, but I'm more of college basketball. But today is just a huge NBA day. And then I like also what the Pacers did. The Pacers are able to get Karis LeVert because Victor Oladipo was gonna leave there anyway. So they got some really good value. But the Nets, yeah, it's a great move for the Nets. I mean, come on, and Steve Nash, I mean, he gets to coach all these great players. And again, it's going to be a little bit of a headache, but you have superstars. Fontenot. Yeah, I heard about Fontenot for sure. I think that the Giants, they're really going to look at Jalen Waddle. You're going to look at Devontae Smith in this situation. I think Allen Robinson would be a tremendous, tremendous player. I think Smith is going to be really, really good. A little bit like Jerry Jeudy. It totally depends on his quarterback, though. It really does. But he has really good hands. He has the ability to work the sideline. He's a little like Stephon Diggs. So he's going to be a really awesome receiver. I think that Tua in Miami should really consider going after Devontae Smith. I really believe that. Now, maybe the Texans will be interested in getting Deshaun Watson, trading Watson for the number 3 overall pick so that the Texans can go out and secure Devontae Smith. So then Jack Easterby can go get Smith. So I think Pep Hamilton or it's going to be Tony Elliott's going to Seattle. I think that Robert Saleh leaving the New York Jets is absolutely disgraceful. I'm going to talk about this here for a couple of minutes. So Robert Saleh, I mean, this is exactly the guy the Jets need. He's an unbelievable leader. He was going to bring Mike McDaniel with him, and Mike McDaniel is a Stanford guy, like a really bright offensive coordinator that's excellent with run schemes. I mean, this guy is like an expert in geography. So Mike McDaniel was going to come over, really help out the New York Jets. And also Robert Saleh was going to bring over Matt LaFleur's brother. So you were going to have a sensational coaching staff. I mean, Robert Saleh, all the players love him. You know, you look at Richard Sherman, the relationships that Saleh has formed with Nick Bosa, with D Ford, with Fred Warner, DeForest Buckner. I mean, Saleh should have been a world champion last year. He was 1 quarter away. I mean, nobody has defended Mahomes like that San Francisco defense. And this guy is just an absolute leader. He's a guy who's really strong physically. He has great emotional intelligence. He's a tremendous leader. And you look at the Jets, they haven't had a great leader. You look at Todd Bowles, who's way too quiet. The defensive players liked him, but he wasn't that heartbeat that the Jets needed. And then you look at this with Adam Gase, was a personality disaster. I mean, Adam Gase was too lazy. He wouldn't even go check in with his players that were injured. He was just a complete jerk. All he cared about was himself. And the Jets, I mean, ever since they had Rex Ryan, they have just been absolutely awful. I mean, they hired Todd Bowles. I think that they had Mangini for a little bit as well. I mean, you had Herm Edwards and Rex Ryan. Those were the only 2 guys in the past 20 years that were relatively successful. And it's absolutely a joke. It's a dead joke. And this guy, Saleh, is the best defensive coordinator. The 49ers were playing with no players whatsoever, and Saleh made them fantastic. And this guy is all defense. And you can't say that the 49ers this year had the best talent. DeForest Buckner was traded away. Nick Bosa, the best player on their defense, was hurt. You can't tell me that Robert Saleh did not do a phenomenal job of keeping his guys motivated when they had to leave their damn city and this team was playing in their division rival's place. It's like the Giants getting moved out of New York and playing in Dallas. So it's ridiculous. It's stupid. Why fly the guy halfway across the country and you don't even know the finances of the contract? I mean, being a Jets fan, you're just banging your head against the wall. It's such a hopeless feeling being a New York Jets fan. It is. And you're going to hire Arthur Smith, who had Derrick Henry, the best running back in 20 years. You're going to end up hiring Arthur Smith, who barely has any experience whatsoever, who kind of looks like a creepier Adam Gase. That's what's going to happen. You're hiring the next Adam Gase, or you'll hire Doug Pederson when Doug Peterson's going, no. By the way, let's talk about Doug Pederson and the Eagles here. Doug Pederson won a championship. Congratulations, okay? That was a great accomplishment. You know who else almost won a championship? Jeff Fisher and Ken Wisenhunt, both guys who ended up sucking in their second places, okay? Let's also talk about, Mike Tomlin won a championship, and he's been kind of mediocre for the past 10 years. Let's talk about Brian Billick, who won a championship. Let's talk about John Gruden, who won a championship, okay? Let's talk about Tony Dungy and Jim Caldwell. Let's talk about those guys, okay? So the point is about Doug Pederson is that Doug Pederson needed the Minnesota Vikings to choke against the Chicago Bears for them even to make the playoffs 2 years ago. And then a year ago, Doug Pederson was in the worst division in the NFC East, and he got bounced in the first round by the Seattle Seahawks. So the year that the Cody Parkey missed field goal happened, they almost lost to Mitchell Trubisky, and they needed a fortunate break on that field goal for them to even advance. And by the way, they weren't going to get into the damn playoffs if the Minnesota Vikings just took care of their business. So Doug Pederson, his offense is terrible. He's stubborn as the day's long. He sucks. He absolutely sucks, okay? And Doug Pederson, in the past 3 or 4 years, his offense is horrible. And you look at Jim Schwartz and Frank Reich, they are the better coaches. Just like who's a better coach right now? Answer me this question. Dan Quinn, who just got fired, or Kyle Shanahan, his offensive coordinator? Because Frank Reich was the guy that was the better football coach. Period. End of story. That's what happened. That's what happened. All right? Getting stuff off my chest. Kevin Stefanski's been really good, but time will tell how dominant he will be. All right? Time will tell how dominant. Is he going to be another Matt Nagy? We will see. We will see. I think that the Eagles, by the way, I'll tell you about the Eagles. The Eagles, by the way, are going to probably hire probably Mike Kafka. They're either going to hire Kafka or they're going to hire Joe Brady. They're going to fall in love with Joe Brady, and that's going to be the hire. Ryan Day is an outside possibility because Ryan Day worked with Chip Kelly. So I'm telling you, it really could end up happening. Ravens and Bills this Saturday night is the game of all games. You have Lamar Jackson, third year in the league, tremendous quarterback, has led the Ravens to 2 divisional round appearances. So he's been flat out fantastic in his first 3 years. He just has been. I mean, this Ravens team is a playoff machine with Lamar Jackson. He's going up against Josh Allen. It comes down to Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano. Can the Bills linebackers play competitively with Lamar Jackson? Because Mark Andrews is going to get his. Hollywood Brown is going to get his. So I really think that this Bills game, Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson, this is the biggest game in both of these franchises' histories in a long time. And this is for the ability to get to play Kansas City in this championship game. It's a tough game to select. It's a complete pick-em game. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills in a very tight game, but I'm not very sure about the pick. I think the Bills got absolutely screwed because I'll tell you what, the Bills got absolutely screwed because if the Steelers would have won, then they would have had an easy route. So it's going to be really tough. I don't think that Buffalo is going to win this game going away at all. I think that the Ravens defense is super legit. They just have built a great team. I think Joe Brady is absolutely a risky hire because he's so young. I doubt that do you know if Joe Brady can put together a staff or not? I'm not really sure. Now you have to consider some other moves that are going to happen. I think that Brandon Staley is going to get hired. Okay. I think Arthur Smith is going to get hired. So I think Staley and Arthur Smith are going to get hired. I don't know if Joe Brady is going to get hired. Now, it would be really weird if he went back to the Carolina Panthers. So I'm going to say that Joe Brady's going to get hired as well. And then you have Brian Daboll. Is Daboll going to get hired? It depends on Urban Meyer and what's going to happen with Jacksonville. Because now with Jacksonville, I think Saleh goes to Jacksonville. And then it's going to come down to the Chargers selecting either Daboll or Urban Meyer. Because let's fill out the bracket, okay? Let's say that I think the Jags are going to get Robert Saleh. I think that the Jets are going to get Arthur Smith. That would leave Joe Brady and the Eagles with Ryan Day. And who else are the Eagles also thinking about? Todd Bowles. I don't see Todd Bowles. You have Mike Kafka. I think that Joe Brady has a really good chance to either go to Philly or Joe Brady's going to go to the Atlanta Falcons. It's one of those choices. I'm going to say an upset pick for Houston is Brandon Staley ends up going to Houston as my upset pick. I don't think Robert Saleh is staying with the 49ers. I just don't. He's getting pumped out too much by Shanahan. I don't know. I don't really believe that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to get Urban Meyer. I think that contract situation has stopped. I think Urban Meyer's interested in the LA Chargers. He already lives in LA. Justin Herbert is in LA. I'm telling you, I think it's LA. The difference between Joe Brady and Sean McVay is the personality. I mean, Joe Brady's been up in the booth his entire career, and even though Joe Brady can call excellent plays, I don't know about his ability to lead and put together a staff. You look at what Sean McVay did. He hired Wade Phillips, and then he hired Zach Taylor. He hired Brandon Staley. He has Shane Waldron. Liam Cohen's the offensive coordinator of the Kentucky Wildcats. Sean McVay hiring Brandon Staley. Nobody knew about Brandon Staley before Sean McVay did. McVay is an absolute genius. You look at how, Jalen Ramsey is playing right now. Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. And Sean McVay barely has a quarterback, and he took a running back out of Florida State Cam Akers, and Cam Akers looks unbelievable. I mean, Cam Akers in that Seahawks game for a third-round running back looked like a top 10 running back in the NFL. I think the 49ers, by the way, I think the 49ers can really draft Mac Jones. I really think that could happen because I know that Zach Wilson is the dream pick for the San Francisco 49ers. I know he is. The question is, the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Panthers, one of those teams is taking Zach Wilson. As I predicted, Justin Fields will be outside of the top 15. I actually think Mac Jones will be selected before Justin Fields. Justin Fields is going to be towards the back half of the first round. And I also believe Trey Lance will also be like Jordan Love. Trey Lance will also be towards the back half of the first round. Teams are worried about Trey Lance in a one-year situation. They're worried about his ability to play consistently at the quarterback position because he had one tremendous year, but he had it playing with the Alabama of the FCS level. So teams are worried about his accuracy. They don't know enough about Trey Lance. Trey Lance hasn't been in the public eye. He's barely taken any interviews. Unlike Mac Jones, unlike Justin Fields, unlike Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance is from small town Minnesota. You have no exposure to the personality of Trey Lance. And unlike Fields and unlike these other guys like Lawrence, who have been in the public eye for a long time, you know about these guys. You know about maturity. You know about, can they handle the big stage? And for Trey Lance, that's the thing. It's such a question mark that this guy's going to be taken towards the back half of the first round and he's going to be developed. I really think the New Orleans Saints are going to be very interested in Trey Lance towards the back half of the first round. I do. I really do. I think that Josh Allen being with the Chargers, Josh Allen being this good is tremendous. But Josh Allen, I mean, his ability to run outside of the pocket, being 6'5", his ability to throw the ball on the run is absolutely unbelievable. I think Mac Jones, you know what Mac Jones showed me also? He showed me an ability to move in the pocket, to step up, make throws. You know, he has a quick release. He's very accurate. I really think, like, in a Shanahan offense, like, he can actually be decent. I really do. Because you look at the guys that you're going to be selecting, you're between Fields, Jones, and Trey Lance. And Trey Lance is more of a Jason Garrett style, you know, more of a quarterback that's like a runner part-time that needs a really strong running game. Yes, the Niners have that, but is Trey Lance extremely deadly accurate between 5 to 10 yards out, where Trey Lance is more of a deep ball thrower, more of a great improviser. And I think that Shanahan is going to want more of a Mac Jones. I really could see Mac Jones being a 49er. I really think that that's going to end up happening. I think that Mac is, because Jimmy Garoppolo gets injured too much. Mac Jones has a big arm, very good at throwing the deep ball, and has excellent leadership and chemistry skills. And between that offensive line, I think it can actually work pretty good. I think Kyle Pitts is a dang good player, but if I were the Giants, I would look at Jamar Chase. I'd look at him very seriously. I know that Odell Beckham went to LSU and that didn't work out very well. You'd have to look at Jamar Chase. I think that Chase is really, really talented. The unfortunate thing about Jalen Waddle is too injured. But you look at Chase, and I think that Chase would maybe be the pick. I think Chase is incredibly talented, really exciting. I think that Devontae Smith is like Marvin Harrison, gonna just be able to catch the ball, create separation, win at one-on-ones, just too intelligent not to be good at the next level. So we're going to continue to fill out the coaching staff. CR, I really appreciate you saying that to all of the great commenters here. I really do. The team that I have coming out of the NFC is actually the Los Angeles Rams. I have them beating the Buccaneers. And I know that that's absolutely crazy and weird, but I think I have the Rams winning because they have the best defense and the best running game. But I'm probably going to be wrong. The odds would say to pick the Green Bay Packers to win, but the winner of that Packers-Rams game is going to win the NFC. I don't think that the Bucs are ready to do it. I do think the Bucs are going to beat the Saints. I'm not impressed with Drew Brees at all. I think Drew Brees played terrible against the Bears. I think the Rams are awesome. I mean, their defensive line's tremendous. They're going to heat up Aaron Rodgers. Their running game, McVay, Brandon Staley. I really love this Rams team. They're the best complete team in the NFL right now. It's just a matter of, can the quarterback play okay? Because they're the best complete football team. Everybody else has holes on this team. The Packers are kind of defensively not very good. The Packers running game's okay. I know Aaron Rodgers has been the MVP of the league, but I just think that the Rams are coming in red hot, and I think that the upset's going to happen. All right? And then I look at the two teams, the Saints and the Bucs. I'm not really impressed. I think that the AFC is so much better, and there you have to take the Kansas City Chiefs because you're guaranteed to get the Kansas City Chiefs. The Browns their defense is not going to be able to stop Patrick Mahomes. So the Browns, although they've won a playoff game, the Browns' luck is going to run out this weekend. So then you're getting Kansas City in the end. I don't know why Deshaun Watson, I don't know if he is going to get traded or not. I mean, I think the Texans can just choose to keep Deshaun Watson. He can hold out. I think if I were the Texans, though, I would trade Deshaun for Tua Tagovailoa. I would. And I would want my pick back as well, because then you have Tua, you have him, and you're going to have David Johnson, Tua, and Tua's the guy that you can build around. Tua's younger. He has a great release. It's quick. And you look at Tua Tagovailoa, his throwing motion, and Tua is going to be a guy that, just like when Drew Brees went to New Orleans, Tua in the Dome is going to light it up in the AFC South. So I think that Tua is tremendous. I said last year Tua was a great quarterback, and just because he didn't have a good rookie season, I'm not just going to backfire and say Tua now suddenly is not very good. I'm not, okay? People can be wishy-washy with their opinions, and people can have the flavor of the month opinion and think that Arthur Smith is great and think that, Joe Burrow is going to be so much better than Tua. Like, I'm not going to do that. I think Philly is going to get either Joe Brady or they're going to get Mike Kafka from the Chiefs. I think Kafka is going to interview really well. I think Arthur Smith's probably going to go to the New York Jets. Robert Saleh, like, what ended up happening is the Jets just didn't have the money to afford him. The contract didn't work out. He came out, he was ready to sign, and basically the owner couldn't make it happen. And for the Jets, they needed Robert Saleh, and it's unbelievably disappointing for their fan base. I think Joe Brady's great for the Eagles because you look at Howie Roseman, and he needs a little puppet that he can just be on his strings, be on puppeteers. And you look at Jeffrey Lurie, and Jeff Lurie loves passing games. He's a very intellectual kind of owner. And I see Joe Brady going to Philadelphia and developing, a quarterback like Carson Wentz. And listen, I like Kellen Moore a little bit more than Joe Brady. If Joe Brady can hire a staff, if Joe Brady's interesting. He has the highest ceiling out of any of these guys. So Joe Brady to Philly, it could be a complete disaster, though, because the guy's 31. He could just be like a guy who's meant to be an offensive coordinator right now, and a guy whose leadership skills, I mean, he's never really been in that head coaching position before. And then you see him get interviewed and stuff. And does he have that dynamic personality to do it? I don't think McDaniel is going to be hired for the Seahawks because, one, he's not going to go in division. And then I think it's either Tony Elliott or Pep Hamilton, but I don't know if Tony Elliott's going to leave Clemson. But Tony Elliott would be fascinating to see him go from Clemson to the NFL. That would be unbelievable. And then Tony Elliott, what he can do is have one good year with Russell Wilson, and then suddenly he's an NFL head coach. That's what's going to happen. Next year, you're going to see Kellen Moore get a head coaching job. You're going to see Kevin O'Connell get a head coaching job. You might see Liam Cohen get a head coaching job. Who else am I thinking about? That's going to get a head coaching job. Patrick Graham. I mean, that's what's going to happen. Yes. I don't think Joe Douglas is. I think Joe Douglas wanted to hire him. I really do. Robert Saleh's in Philly right now. If Philly can get this guy, what a hire for the Eagles, honestly. This guy is a great guy. A very likable guy, and it's going to be hard to root against Robert Saleh. But to be honest with you guys, I think Lincoln Riley would scare me the most. I think Lincoln Riley's the best coach out there, Lincoln or Kellen Moore. But exactly, he's high risk, high reward. Joe Brady, certainly right now. I'm excited to watch this press conference with the Denver Broncos right now. I'm really excited to watch this press conference of this new GM to see what he thinks about Drew Lock. I hope that Drew Lock gets an opportunity to stay in Denver because I really think Drew Lock has the ability within the second year of this offense to really be an awesome, awesome quarterback. And I think that Denver is going to have a really good chance here to do this. I think Denver's going to draft like a linebacker or maybe a corner, and I think that this is going to be awesome. Well, Alex, is Jason Garrett gone? I mean, I doubt that Jason Garrett is gone. I'm trying to think where Jason can end up going. But I think Jason Garrett could still stay. I mean, if Robert Saleh does not get hired, that would be absolutely insane. Because he's just taken so many interviews and he's done so well. I don't know about Deuce's capabilities. Like maybe Deuce Staley in the offensive coordinator role can be really, really good. Again, like that offense last year wasn't that great. So unless Deuce Staley's going to have very different ideas than Doug Pederson, I don't really think that anybody in that offense was really, really good. But Robert Saleh going to Philly, I mean, he would absolutely fit the city. He would fit the heartbeat of the city. He's intense. The defensive line would be unbelievable. Kobe, how are you, man? Congrats on the new GM hire. I think it's a really solid hire. I think Atlanta, they're looking at Brad Holmes as well, but it might be that guy Fontenot is headed to Atlanta. I know Arthur Smith and Joe Brady are very connected to that situation. With Matt Ryan, who knows what Arthur Blank's going to end up doing. There happens to be, let me see Brad Holmes again from the Rams. I think Brad Holmes is absolutely the go. But basically, the Lions are looking to hire him first, so it's going to be a race. I think Lincoln Riley's staying at Oklahoma until he gets a perfect NFL job, and I don't think he wants to be here with Howie and move all the way to the East Coast. George Paton, I'm excited to listen to that press conference. I think that George Patton's pretty dang good as the GM, and I think you got to stay with Drew Lock, draft some defense, get some defense to really help. What's it called? To help. I was talking about Denver, right? Yes, they should draft a cornerback to really help out the Denver Broncos. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, you had to stay. You had to stay very patient with Robert Saleh. Indeed, you had to stay very patient. But these playoffs are going to be great. The Eagles, I mean, Howie Roseman forced out Doug Pederson. That's what ended up happening. And even though Doug won a championship, he hasn't been good these last 3 years. But Howie Roseman absolutely is like a dictator as a GM, and that's what ended up happening. That's a good point about Adam Peters. Absolutely. He found George Kittle, Fred Warner. You're right, in the fourth round. I'm trying to think of who else he found. I mean, Deebo Samuel, really good draft pick. Bosa's really, really good. Again, you're dealing with John Lynch, who's a Stanford guy. Peters is pretty dang good. The Panthers are really interested in Peters. And then today, Matt Nagy is back, and so is Ryan Pace. So the Chicago Bears are just content to be like 7-9. They're content to suck. I mean, it's absolutely incredible that the Bears just really don't care about sucking. Yeah. I think McClinchy is pretty good. They ended up getting a Trent Williams. D Ford's trade ended up being fantastic. And then Dre from Arkansas. And then I think they picked a guy from Southern Miss, like Tavarius Moore or something. So again, like I think that they're very good at drafting. Yep, he would bring either Mike LaFleur or he would bring McDaniel. And Mike McDaniel is considered like this guru and this wizard to everybody. So, I mean, it's interesting right now in the NFL. Nobody has really, made the hire. I think that the Houston Texans is an incredibly fun destination. You have this guy, Jack Easterby, who is like this evil, like cult leader, like this David Koresh, cult leader from Waco, Texas. And I think that place is just fascinating how you have this guy that's basically preaching the gospel and then he's running football operations. I mean, you can't get any more fun than that. I mean, I know I'm not a Texans fan, but still, I mean, you pay attention to sports to be entertained. And how entertaining is that this owner and this Easterby has hypnotized Cal McNair so much. It's unbelievable. I think it's Devontae Smith, no doubt about it. I'm sure you want the Jets to get Eric Bieniemy. By the way, Eric Bieniemy in these interviews, first off, in these interviews, I don't think Bieniemy really knows the offense all that well at all. And then it makes sense for Mahomes. If Mahomes really loves Bieniemy, why would he be telling every team to take Eric Bieniemy? Why would they want to ship him out of Kansas City if he's this absolute gem? You have Andy Reid there, you have Mahomes, you have Mike Kafka. Is Bieniemy really creating the offense? And then Eric Bieniemy hasn't taken any interviews. You have to look into the thing at Colorado. How bad is the situation at Colorado? All right, did he cover up like any sexual assault cases when he was at Colorado? Because that could be a question mark. I don't know the severity of it. But once again, how responsible is Bieniemy for Andy Reid and these successes? How responsible is he? And you look at Bieniemy right now, and I'm sure Eric, first of all, if he was an offensive coordinator for like a defensive-minded head coach, he'd immediately get a job. He was going to get a college head coaching job if he wanted, but Bieniemy, he can win another Super Bowl in Kansas City, or Eric Bieniemy could be an offensive coordinator somewhere. And look at Joe Brady. This offense of Carolina was pretty awful, but Joe Brady had a really good year at LSU. So all Bieniemy would have to do is leave Kansas City, be an OC for 1 year, make how many million? Like $1.5, $2 million. And then suddenly he can make $5 million because there's not that many here. There's not. Okay. Now you could look at Bieniemy, and again, you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. So it's tough, when you're analyzing that. It's just like with Belichick and the Patriots sometimes. You have Flores, you have Vrabel, you have Joe Judge that are pretty decent coaches. But then you have Charlie Weiss, you have Josh McDaniels. So you have all of these. Reid's coaching tree's been okay. You have Stefanski, you have Sean McDermott, who's been really good. John Harbaugh. So defense and special teams guys are good. The Jets they're absolutely going to look at Fitzgerald, but unfortunately Fitzgerald has declined it. If I'm the Jets, I look at to tell you the truth, I look at Kellen Moore or Liam Cohen, but you guys are not interested in Liam Cohen at all from the University of Kentucky as an offensive coordinator. You're also not looking at Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator of the Cowboys. I would look at Kevin O'Connell of the LA Rams is a very interesting selection, very interesting choice. trying to think of other guys that, like I know that we talked about Saleh earlier. I'm not really a fan of Daboll really that much at all. So if you guys had to decide, I think like Staley or Joe Brady would be like a better choice. But then you look at the college ranks. You have Marcus Freeman, who's a defensive coordinator for the University of Cincinnati. You look at the college ranks and what college coaches can you end up hiring? I mean, you have Hugh Freeze, you have Dan Mullen. So the New York Jets, I mean, they wanted Robert Saleh. They weren't able to get it done. Wink Martindale is absolutely a possibility for the Jets. I'm not the biggest Wink Martindale guy, but hey, Wink Martindale will be cheap, and he's a friend of Joe Brady. I think Joe Brady will absolutely take the Eagles job because he's young, he's naive, and again, for Howie and Jeffrey Lurie, it's very easy to work with those guys. I think, by the way, that Mac Jones is Eli Manning at the next level. Now, can Eli scramble a little bit? I think that Mac Jones has the ability to win a Super Bowl. I think he'll be up and down. But again, he gets with the right team. He might be a Hall of Fame quarterback, but he has to get with the right team. He has to have a decent offensive line. And again, especially on the interior, he has to get rid of the ball quickly, but he has great accuracy. Again, his release is very efficient, so he's kind of like a Matt Ryan. Joe Burrow doesn't have the most mobility in the world, neither does Tua. Trying to think of guys that again, I know it's tough because Mac Jones has like very little mobility. I know it's very tough. But again, I like Mac Jones actually more than I like Justin Fields. I really do. I've never been a Fields fan that much. Now you look at Trey Lance and Mac Jones, and again, that's a little bit tougher. Mac Jones really played great, and Trey Lance is a total boomer bust prospect. I think that Wilson and Lawrence are the truth. I think that Lance is a possibility. I think that then you have Mac Jones. Malik Willis out of Auburn could have been really good, but he's not coming out. Dylan Ritter, Spencer Rattler, they're all going to be next year. Spencer Rattler is a really, really good quarterback from Oklahoma. I'm a big fan of his. Stafford coming to the Broncos. Wow. In the Mile High City. Man, I don't know what you'd give up. You'd probably give up Jerry Jeudy. You'd give up Noah Fant. It depends. And then would the Lions trade Drew Lock? Or the Lions would trade for Drew Lock and those guys? I mean, wow. That would be absolutely insanity. Or the Lions might draft Trey Lance. You look at the Lions and Trey Lance. I mean, Trey Lance is from the Midwest. Lance has a huge ceiling. Trey Lance in either Washington or Detroit, a team that again is going to be having like new offensive coordinators, a team with no excitement. Trey Lance is absolutely, he can resurrect a franchise because he is so talented at running and throwing the football. His ceiling is so much better than Mac Jones. Okay. But in specific situations, like for teams that are already very good, Mac Jones might be able to come in with a little more experience, maybe throw less picks than Trey Lance. But again, the ceiling of Trey Lance is right up there with the best of the best. Like the ceiling of Lance is ridiculous. But again, Matt Stafford to Denver. I like Drew Lock in Denver. I would stay with Drew Lock in Denver again. And you're setting up Shermer and Fangio, you're running it back one more year. You stay patient. You stay patient with Drew Lock because Drew Lock can end up turning out to be Josh Allen. I mean, Drew Lock year one played in 4 games, was 3-1 as a starting quarterback and was great. This year, Drew Lock, he beat Miami. Yes, he struggled against Oakland, okay, a couple of times. Yes, Drew Lock had some bad performances this year. But again, this was like his rookie season. I would give him one more year, and this is make it or break it for Lock. But again, I believe in the talent of Drew Lock. I just do. I think he is a big-time thrower of the football, Drew Lock. He is absolutely the truth at throwing the ball, and I think he has enough mobility. I really think he could be a great, great quarterback. Zach Wilson, again, is a no-brainer. to the New York Jets. I've been a fan of Zach Wilson now for like the past 2 months. Zach Wilson is absolutely the hire. Joe Brady's scheme does a great job of getting wide receivers isolated on the outside. You get a lot of back shoulder throws. You get a lot of motion before the snap in the slot. You're going to have a lot of great plays. You're going to hit explosive plays with Joe Brady. I think he is a very exciting quarterback. My friend UCF Jaguar is here, my buddy from down in Duval County. Eventually, I'm going to have Dalton come on the channel, especially – I mean, it's either Saleh or Urban Meyer out there in Jacksonville, but I think Urban has passed on to another job, because the thing about Urban Meyer is he would have already taken the Jacksonville job if it was a done deal. I really think that Urban's getting cold feet. I don't think it's going to happen because it's been too long. So, But my friend UCF Jaguar, everybody go follow his channel. It's absolutely spectacular. Rather be an offensive coordinator. It's absolutely true. He didn't face great competition, but did Josh Allen face great competition? There's small school quarterbacks that are, pretty good in the NFL. I mean, Joe Flacco was able to win a championship. Steve McNair was able to be great. Warren Moon. You go back to guys that are just super small school guys. They're able to be good. Russell Wilson of NC State in the ACC can go back a while. I don't think Hurts is all that good. I think the Eagles are kind of stuck with Hurts and Wentz. Maybe Hurts is, I don't know. I think Carson, it's really messed up in Philly for him. I would get back Jacob Eason from the Colts, honestly, because then you can have somebody challenge Jalen Hurts. Bring in like a Mariota, again, the backup Jalen, so he has some good competition at that spot. But anyway, this has been a really fun live stream. We're going upon 47 minutes here doing the live show. My microphone just ended up breaking, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to go back to Best Buy and get a new microphone. All right. Great questions. I'll answer the last one. Unfortunately, the guy that's not going to work out is going to be Justin Fields to me, but maybe that's not so hot of a take anymore. UCF, you can go back, follow the stream. And again, I really appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Had a lot to get off my chest today. With the coaching news, with this NBA trade of the Nets. The Nets are now the favorite in the Eastern Conference. James Harden basically gets whatever he wants. He can act very immature. He doesn't have to prepare for his job at all. And he basically gets to go wherever he wants to, because the Houston Rockets just don't care. They're just like, all right, we're going to leave you. So if you're a star in basketball, like, let's look at guys like Donovan Mitchell. In a year or so, Donovan Mitchell's eventually going to get traded to like the Clippers or something. And then the Jazz will suck. And then eventually, you look at Trae Young will eventually get traded from the Atlanta Hawks in 2 years. And then you look at eventually Jamal Murray, eventually Bradley Beal. That's what happens in basketball. That's what happens in professional basketball. And the drama is great. I mean, today was awesome with, was he going to the Sixers? Was he going to the Nets? Today was fun. The offseason is just as much as fun as the regular season in NBA basketball. I definitely like college. The NBA is fine. We will see. I mean, if the NBA is great, we'll have the Bucks or the Sixers win because they built it from the ground up. So can the Bucks and the Sixers beat the free agent team? We will see. That's the NBA storyline for today. All righty, guys. This was fun. You guys were great in the chat, as always. All right. Take care. Have a wonderful